This is The Good Government Show.
We have been working to get bipartisan progress done. We've been able to do it at the city level. We've been able to do it with NACo, and there's no reason why we can't send a congressional leader to Washington to do the same work. We do have initiatives where we are having our young people connect with our seniors to help bridge that communication divide. I've been nicknamed the Data Hound because I want to know, how are we evaluating our success? If we're spending money, our taxpayer dollars, I want to know how it's benefiting the residents. I want to ensure that we are tracking our progress and we're evaluating our success as we're going, and then we're making adjustments as needed if necessary. You gotta have obey. Put that ish on everything. Yes, and a little bit of hot sauce as well.
Welcome to The Good Government Show. I'm your host, Dave Martin. On this episode, we're talking with Laurie Sayles, and she's the council member at large for Montgomery County, Maryland. And she's already a listener to The Good Government Show. We like that. Montgomery County is a Washington, D.C. suburb, and it includes the rather Tony suburb of Bethesda and the more rural city of Poolesville. Listen to how Laurie describes Montgomery. We covered a good government story in Montgomery about teaching tech to seniors, and that was back in July of 2022, Season 2, Episode 3. Give it a listen and hear more about Montgomery County. I can wait. Okay, I'll wait. There you go. Okay, good. Now you're up to speed on my previous Montgomery County story. All right, so you're back. So, Laurie Sayles, we talk about what's going now in Montgomery, and we do update the work they're doing with seniors in the county. We also talk about agriculture, specifically beer and her favorite cider. Turns out Montgomery is a producer of cider, beer, and wine. We also talk about the challenges of paying off college loans for students, including herself. She also talks about running for the U.S. Congress. Although she did not win her race for higher office, she continues to serve the county. But listen to her reasons for running for Congress. It's clear she had good government in mind when she considered the run. So coming up, Montgomery County Council Member at Large, Laurie Sayles. The Good Government Show is sponsored by Ourco. That means our community. Ourco has found a way to make government more effective. Ourco provides the OUR platform, and this is an app that blends in-person and digital interactions to connect people with their government, their county, their town, their state. The Ourco app transforms meaningful conversations into reliable data. They can turn results into projects and programs the community has essentially already approved. It's sort of like a flash poll by phone, but without the call and in real time and wherever community members are. Maybe they're at their house or their office or where they're out just talking about local issues. Maybe the choice is between putting in more local buses or expanding the bike lanes. Ourco can get you an answer immediately. With OUR, you can engage your citizens or any group, learn what they want, and build programs and policies that advance your county, your job creators, your constituents. So visit ourco.com, that's OURCO.com, and learn how they do it. And while you're there, book a demonstration. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. Welcome, Laurie Sayles of Montgomery County, Maryland. Welcome.
Hi, David. So nice to be here with you.
Well, it's nice to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by and noticing us and knowing a little bit about it. Just tell us a little bit what your title is.
So I am a Montgomery County Council Member at Large, representing the largest county in Maryland. We have a population of over 1 million residents, a budget of over $6.5 billion. And, we have 4 of the nation's most diverse cities. We have the biotech corridor of the region. And so we are doing some really fantastic things that I'm so proud to be able to represent our county here at the National Association of Counties Conference.
Right. And your title is council member.
I'm a council member at large.
Which is council member at large, which is roughly the equivalent to being a county commissioner.
County commissioner. That's correct.
That's just what they call it in Maryland.
That's what they call them in Maryland.
We talked a little bit several years ago with, I guess, a former colleague, Craig Rice.
Yes, my good friend,
Yes.
former council member Craig Rice.
And I understand he's no longer a council member.
No, term limits passed, and so we are only allowed to serve for 3 terms. I'm currently in my second year of my first term.
The second year of your first term. But prior to that, you were a city council person.
Yes, I was a city council member in the city of Gaithersburg, Maryland, and served 4 years there as well. Served with the National League of Cities on the Economic Development Committee and was nominated Legislator of the Year as well.
Oh, my.
Yes, during the pandemic.
Oh, that had to be a little difficult. What made you jump to county commission?
Well, we had vacancies because of term limits, and my good friend, Councilmember Sidney Katz, who represented my district, I didn't want to run against him. So the only alternative was to run for re-election or to run for one of the open seats. And I decided to run for the open seat. I've built up a lot of relationships and done a lot of work countywide, and so had a lot of support to enter the race.
I remember from talking with Craig, one of the issues that you have is a growing senior population, and you combine that with a lot of medical services and medical research that happens in Montgomery County. It's the Good Government Show. How are these things working together, and how are you helping the folks with the access and the folks that need it?
Well, we have an aging advisory committee in the county. And so during the pandemic, we were able to set up Villages, which is now a virtual community for our seniors.
Everyone got used to Zoom.
Yes, yes. And so...
Even your mother.
Even still working on my mother.
As am I.
And so the Villages offer resources and connectivity, especially for our seniors who weren't able to go to the activity centers or didn't feel comfortable congregating in public spaces.
Right.
And so we are still working on resources. We just passed our budget last year, helped them get someone to coordinate all of their social media, to help with advertising events and information for our seniors in the community. And so a lot of our seniors need resources, not just for food, but recreation. They still want to work in the community. And so we provide opportunities to, tell us what their priorities are. We're about to hit budget season in a few weeks. And so we have very open lines. Get your requests in now. And so I've been taking meetings virtually and in person to hear about the priorities that are most important to them.
I'm going to get the name wrong. I can't remember what it is. Senior Planet, I think, was the program that we talked about where it was teaching tech to seniors.
Yes. And we're also...
Is that program still going on?
I'm not sure if that program is still going on, but we do have initiatives where we are having our young people connect with our seniors to help bridge that communication divide.
So what that is go help grandma on a countywide level.
Cell phone, with, the technology on the computer, social media.
So you brought a little bit of this programming in-house.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So.
And is it working out for your senior population?
We believe it's working. We have very good relationships with our seniors. We have meet and confers with our seniors every year where they talk to us about their priorities, and we're able to also do proclamations. And so I did a proclamation to welcome our seniors and to just show our appreciation for all of the wisdom and the groundwork that they've laid to create the opportunities for us. And being part of the sandwich generation, where I'm taking care of my parents are taking care of my grandparents, and then I have a daughter. And so, people are living a lot longer, and I'm really glad that I get to continue doing this work as a member of the Health and Human Services Committee. And then even at the council, we have opportunities for employment for seniors who still have a lot to give and still have a desire to serve the community as well.
What are they doing?
They are helping us write legislation. They're doing constituent services, and they're really helping us stay connected with the community, and ensuring that their priorities are, central to the decisions we make within our budget.
So what else is going on in the county? What's going on in Montgomery County?
What is going on in Montgomery County?
So much.
So much.
Yeah.
We're the biotech corridor of the region. And so we recently had a hearing with our Economic Development Committee just talking about the sports industry and how we have an opportunity to reimagine our green space. We have a high vacancy rate in commercial buildings. And so we want to make sure that we're repurposing those buildings. And so I'm glad that we're here to be able to talk with Congress about resources and grants to, retrofit these vacant commercial spaces into residential units, because we have a huge housing crisis. Over 30,000 units are vacant. So,
and this is just the fallout of less people going to the office, right?
Less people going to the office. Leases are, not being fulfilled, and landlords still wanting to be paid, and this expense is,
And how does that connect to sports exactly?
So for the sporting industry.
Different.
Yes,
but similar.
yes. Different but similar. And so there are billions of dollars available in the sports industry. We spend millions of dollars sending our kids to Constitution Hall for graduations, but we're seeing a lot of gains in tournaments and sport facilities that we're not able to take advantage of because we don't have the facilities. And so now that we have
building
all of these
massive volleyball courts?
Well, not necessarily volleyball courts, but indoor track fields, stadiums where we can have concerts, and we can have a soccer tournament, or a baseball tournament, or a gymnastics tournament, and then also have a venue where we can also use it throughout the year to host events, especially for our graduations.
And Montgomery County is basically suburban Washington, D.C. It's the Maryland-Washington, D.C. border, right?
Yeah, I would call it suburban urban. We're getting a lot more urbanized in parts of our county.
Yeah.
But, the upper parts of our county are still rural. We have the largest ag reserve in the nation. We are also working
What are they growing?
Oh, they're growing a little bit of everything. We are growing, cover crops. We are
What are
growing,
cover crops?
So cover
I live in
crops
Brooklyn. There's not much ag going on in my neighborhood.
Okay, so cover crops are the crops that really replenish the health of the soil.
Good.
We also have commodities, the corn, the soybean. And then we also have, a growing wine and beer industry. So
I guess Virginia has a lot of wineries, so it's the same region.
It's a bit different. We have wineries, breweries, and cideries. And so
Which is your favorite?
I like cideries.
Do you
yes,
really?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yes. I'm not a beer drinker, but I love
cider
a good hard cider. Definitely. And we have some great farmers out there. And of course, wine. We're definitely giving Virginia a run for its money.
All right.
And so we want to make sure that our agribusinesses are thriving, and we've done a lot in agritourism to really ensure that people know about the agricultural
and they
attractions.
need the support of the government, right?
And they need the support of the government, with the climate change.
I'm all for government helping to build cider, to help get cider made and wine made and beer made.
So we want to make sure the industry
so
thrives.
Government is helping you get a beer.
Definitely. We're making it healthier. We're making it more sustainable. And we're also preserving that green space, which is beneficial to our environment. I mean, we call the ag reserve the lungs of the community. And so ensuring that our farmers have places to continue decided to supply us with food, especially during the pandemic. You know, we had the farm to food bank program. So our farmers need our support, and I'm glad to be able to represent them.
And according to your card here, you're also running for your next stop is you're running for Congress, United States Congress.
Yes, I am.
What is wrong
running
with you
for Congress.
What is wrong with you that you have decided to, move around in government?
I'm on the Good Government Show, and
yes.
We need good government leaders in Congress now. There's a lot of chaos, confusion, and not a lot of good governance happening.
Yep.
And we need good government leaders.
And you're going to provide that.
I want to provide that for the residents of Congressional District 6. I have an incredible job representing the largest county in Maryland, but when my congressman decided to vacate his seat to run for Senate, I felt obligated to bring good governance to the district that is my backyard, where I raised my family, where I've served at the city council, at the local level. And now I want to ensure that regardless if you're in Montgomery, Frederick, Washington, Allegheny, or Garrett County, your voice will be heard in Congress, and you're going to have a representative that lives in the district and will represent your interests fiercely. And
you have an intensity looking at me when you answer that question.
Because
I got a little intimidated, I'll be honest.
Oh, good.
Yes.
And so I've been working in
People
bipartisan.
will have to look at your picture. It'll be up on the website. They'll realize, you're a tiger. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so we have been working to get bipartisan progress done. We've been able to do it at the city level. We've been able to do it with NACo. And there's no reason why we can't send a congressional leader to Washington to do the same work.
So you've worked at the local government. Now you're working in county government, and you aspire to national government. What's the difference in all three?
I mean, the difference to me is you have access to more resources.
Okay.
The job doesn't change. The responsibility doesn't change. The accountability is the same. I just think some people forget who they represent the further away from their community they go.
Okay.
And so having this foundation of representing my city, where it was nonpartisan, we didn't talk about the letters behind our names. We just came together and fought for our cities, towns, and villages all across the country. We wanted to make sure that housing became a reality. If you want to own a home, we wanted to make sure that good investments were made in the community, that we delivered for the bread and butter issues that matter to people. People want their kids to go to good schools. They want investments in Head Start. They want when their kids graduate, they can find good paying jobs and they are not saddled with debt from colleges. And when they graduate, they want to have also investments in their community. And looking at this district, we talked about seniors at the start of this discussion. Frederick County is the fastest growing county for seniors in the district. And so they're going to need a lot more resources that the federal government's going to need to assist us with. We also have in Allegheny County, one of the most top 10 dangerous cities in America because of the lack of investment.
What city?
It's Cumberland, Maryland.
Okay.
It's the opioid epidemic that has ravaged the community. So investments aren't coming. Job opportunities are few and far between. And so we need good government leaders to share that information and to also bring back the treatment facilities and the resources to that community so they can, regain their footing in the community and realize that we haven't forgotten about them.
You brought up something, and I wanted to get your take on this. Students aren't saddled with college debt.
Yeah.
There is a large portion of the voting population, that thinks, hey, you took out the loan, you got to pay it back. What's your response to that?
My response is that we want a thriving nation. And the amount of interest that people are being required to pay when we are bailing out industries like the airlines, we are bailing out the banks, and we're not bailing out the American people who are keeping our country running. I think it's a disservice to our country, it's a disservice to our taxpayers, and it's a disservice to all of the businesses who want to tap into this community and our economy, who can't have, the free flowing dollars from people who are too busy paying their loans or trying to keep food on the table because they have to pay these loans that have such high interest rates. And we're not making it easier for people to repay their loans or making it easier for people to actually have a life after they graduate from college. And then we want them to go and work. We want them to start families. We want them to keep their babies.
And buy a house.
Yeah. Yes. And
I think I've read some studies somewhere that said that, if you get like a master's degree, there are people that are literally dying, still owing money on their college loans.
It's crazy. And that's intergenerational. There's no way to build wealth when you have that ball and chain of compounded interest debt.
How are you coming on your college loans?
Oh my goodness.
Still paying?
Still paying. So no. I know the struggle.
Okay.
I got a bachelor's in public health and a master's in public policy.
Oh.
And so I'm going to continue to advocate for, relief on repaying these student loans because I'm doing the good work of the American people. And so as a government leader, I don't mind paying back my student loans, but I wish the interest rate would not be, tied to inflation. And it's gone up instead of going down. And so it's hard, so hard for folks.
Did you enjoy college?
I loved college.
Where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Maryland, College Park, the flagship University of Maryland, same school that my daughter went to school at, and graduated with no college debt. And so I'm making it better for the next generation. And so if we're able to do that, and the opportunities that are afforded to her because she isn't saddled with that college debt, totally differ from mine. And so I had to continue working multiple jobs until I became an elected official. So I want to do the good work, but the American people need some help, just like our banks and just like the industries that were bailed out.
I'm going to tell you a good story. We were here at the National Association of Counties Convention in Washington, D.C., and this morning President Joe Biden was the featured speaker, and we were going through the security line, and I'm a rugby player, and I was talking to this guy, and he was winding me down because I do this, and I said, yes, if you play rugby for a really long time, you get new hips and a new knee. In fact, we could use guys like you. And he goes, no, thank you. I said, why? He goes, I had enough football. I said, oh, where'd you play? And he said, I played at Maryland.
Oh,
so you were being protected by a Maryland football player today.
I was in good company.
Yes, you were.
My father played rugby.
Oh, good,
yes.
good. Where did he play?
He was an Army man, so he
played around?
Yes,
all right.
Yes.
I wonder if I know him. Now we're going to get to the heart of why it is you do what you do. This is our questionnaire about government, your philosophy of government, and why you do what you do. After you get done with this episode, hear more good government stories with our friends at How to Really Run a City. Former mayors Kasim Reed of Atlanta and Michael Nutter of Philadelphia, and their co-host, journalist and author Larry Platt, talk with guests and other mayors about how to really get stuff done in cities around the nation. Check them out where you're listening now or through their nonprofit news site, thephiladelphiacitizen.org/podcasts. So you've worked at the county. You're now working at the county level as a councilman, councilwoman at large. Prior to that, you were working in local government, and you aspired to the Congress. Define good government.
Good government is government that is for the people, by the people. I never forget the doors that I knocked, the stories that I heard at doors across the community, and the people who spent their hard-earned money to help me get mailers in the door or ads in front of folks just to get my message out because they trusted me. We need trusted, tested, experienced leaders who remember why they are serving, why they are running for office. At the end of the day, it's all about the people that put us in office, and I'm accountable to the voters, the taxpayers.
How do you judge your success or your lack there of success? Not just elections, but, like on a Friday afternoon when you go look at your week, how do you know if you did a good job?
I'm not getting yelled at on Twitter.
Okay. That's important.
That's important. I have a really good team, and my responsiveness to constituents is first and foremost the most important thing. I always tell my staff, I never want to go into any corner of our community and someone tells me they've emailed our office and they haven't gotten a response. And I have only heard good things from the community about, our constituent services. We are responsive,
Okay.
we're timely, and I worked on now Senator Van Hollen's campaign, and that's what he wanted. He wanted people to know that regardless of how far he was away in Washington, he was responsive to the people that he represents all across the state. And so 24 to 48 hours, we're responding and we are getting answers to the residents that email our office, because at the end of the day, happy customers, happy
citizens.
Happy citizens, yes.
And a happy you.
And a happy me, yes,
Right.
less stress.
Now, you said, ultimately the people hold you accountable.
Yes.
How should they hold you accountable?
They hold me accountable by, the decisions that I make when I take my votes for the budget, being responsive to the issues that are affecting them day to day. We recently had some turnover with our Board of Education, and it's asking the hard questions. I've been nicknamed the Data Hound because I want to know, how are we evaluating our success? If we're spending money, our taxpayer dollars, I want to know how it's benefiting the residents. I want to ensure that we are tracking our progress and we're evaluating our success as we're going, and then we're making adjustments as needed if necessary. And so that's how people will hold me accountable, ensuring that we're delivering on the promises that we made. And we've been able to do that with our smart policy agenda since we've been in office.
And if you're not, and if they don't like what you're doing, what should people do?
Vote me out. If I'm not delivering for you, if I'm not doing everything in my power to make a difference in our community, to make our community better, to keep our county thriving, then I'm okay with not serving and finding someone who can do the job better.
Okay.
But you're going to have a hard time finding anyone who works harder than me.
If I do say so myself. All right. What would you like people to know about government? Someone could argue that you're a government insider. What would you like people to know about it?
I am a product of grassroots politics. I'm the daughter of a labor union member, the daughter of an Army veteran, and a rugby player.
Good.
And so government is responsive. Government can make our lives better. I got involved in government because government helped me at my lowest. I was a single mom when I moved to Montgomery County. I lived in affordable housing. I benefited from the Pell Grant and a lot of social services, and wanted to ensure that other folks who were having a hard time know that government is a partner, and we will ensure that we give you a hand up to reach self-sufficiency. We want to ensure that our residents thrive so our county thrives. And so government is a partner, we're an ally, and good government helps good communities thrive and their people thrive. That's what good governments do. They don't stifle political speech, but they take all of the richness of the diverse perspectives of the community, and we make good policy decisions to make people's lives better.
Who is your hero in government, in politics?
Ooh, there's so many.
I got time. It's a podcast. We could go for a while if you'd like.
Oh my goodness.
There's no clock on this.
Okay, Shirley Chisholm is probably first and foremost my shiro.
The first woman to be elected to Congress.
Yes.
From New York.
Yes. Yeah. And my family, I'm the daughter of Jamaican immigrants, and so she's also Jamaican.
Okay.
First black woman to run for president.
Right.
And so just a trailblazer in and of itself. There's also some.
You're the first person that said Shirley Chisholm, so thanks for that. You've done 60 shows. That's you're the first one.
Okay.
Well done.
I'll name another incredible woman, Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
She's known for counting her votes. I believe if you don't have the support of, your colleagues and you have great ideas, but you don't have the support of your colleagues, you're not able to build consensus with your colleagues to get something done, you go back to the drawing board and you make sure that you talk with your colleagues to get good policy decisions made. Locally, in my community, I am fortunate to be represented by friends and elected officials who have been mentors throughout my career, from being a vice president with the Montgomery County Young Democrats, from Jamie Raskin, our Congressman Raskin, a very good friend and just an incredible government leader. We also have Senator Van Hollen, incredible friend and mentor, our former county executive Ike Leggett. So just a lot of trailblazers. And we had some incredible women on the county council who came before me, from Nancy Florine, who was the first woman during my time to represent the county at large. Nancy Navarro, who served 4 years as the only woman on the council. And I think because she was the only woman, it ushered in 6 new women on the council. And when I was elected, and Valerie Irvin, who also served at the county council level. And so I've been fortunate to live in Maryland. I guess so.
You've got a lot of people that have inspired you.
Yes, so many.
You mentioned Shirley Chisholm, who is probably not a household name anymore. Have you always aspired to be in politics? Is that something you thought about since you were little?
No, not at all.
You weren't class president?
No, I didn't do any. I was not with SGA. I did none of that, even though my daughter has done all of those things. I had a background in public health, and Is your daughter going to take your seat someday? I wish she would, but I think she's had enough.
She's seen you close up. She's like, no.
She's like, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but this is what fuels me.
But it was nothing this is not something you thought about your whole life. I want to grow up, I want to be president.
Not at all. Not at all. I went to the University of Maryland College Park, and it just happened to be a stop on Obama's tour when he was making his rounds during the primary in 2008. I was fired up and ready to go. And I got recruited into the organizing for Obama, then organizing for America, then Montgomery County Young Democrats. I realized that there were no Black women elected to our state legislature, and thought that was a problem, and wanted to make sure our voices were heard in Annapolis, and got to shadow our now Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller. And the rest is history. I haven't looked back.
I guess not. No. And now you're looking forward to.
And now I'm looking forward to good government on Capitol Hill.
Good. We're here in Washington, D.C. You're from Montgomery County. I know Maryland is famous for crabs.
Oh, my gosh.
What's the other dish that I should make sure I try when I'm in Montgomery County or I'm in Washington? What's the regional cuisine that you would point me towards?
Oh, my goodness. You're making this hard. Okay.
That's why I ask the hard questions. This is not one of the hard questions, by the way. What do you like to eat?
Well, I'm a pescatarian, so I'm partial to seafood of any kind.
So you're staying with the Maryland crabs.
I'm staying with the crabs, the oysters, any good trout, any fish, red snapper, any seafood. I think Maryland, hands down, has the best. There's also...
With a little Old Bay all over everything?
Oh, you gotta have Old Bay. Put that ish on everything. Yes. And a little bit of hot sauce as well. And I love the new vegetarian dishes that we're having. There's restaurants like plant-based food is really tasty. It's not like the tofu stuff you had back in the day. So, yeah, I'm loving all of the innovations that are coming with our food and how we are being more thoughtful with how we're taking care of our bodies and the options that people now have. So,
all right. It is the Good Government Show. We always bring it back to a good government story. Tell me about a good government project you're working on in Montgomery County that you're especially excited about right now.
Well, it's still in the early stages, but we talked about these vacant buildings.
Right.
And then I started looking into other vacancies. We have over 6,000 vacant multi-family housing structures. And so now we're trying to figure out how can we get these structures to how can we assist landlords, owners with getting these houses back on the market? We have a 30,000 unit shortage. Affordable housing is a national problem.
Are some of these able to be renovated, or?
That's what we're hoping, whether they are in foreclosure or they just need a few repairs. We're trying to get a better understanding of, what state they're in and how we can assist them with getting these units back up to be put into the market. At some point,
have you had to walk down the street and walk up to a house and say, "Oh, here we are"?
Yes, yeah, I definitely am. If I see a sign, we're actually having our Office of Legislative Oversight do that groundwork to find out what's actually able to be refurbished, redeveloped.
What's the reaction of people when they see, the councilwoman in the street walking into a dilapidated house, or looking at abandoned properties?
We have nonprofits that are already at work doing this work to keep our seniors in their units. We're seeing our nonprofits who are helping our homeless population access affordable housing, and so they're grateful. They're like, what are you doing here, and why does this matter to you? But that's where good policymaking comes from, when you're on the ground and able to be on the ground. Another important initiative is Black maternal health. It's been a national issue, and we've seen improvements in other jurisdictions. And so now we're trying to see what we can do in Montgomery County to help that population. We also have some of the longest emergency room wait times in the state of Maryland, in the country, which I did not know, but we've met with our county hospitals, the Maryland Hospital Association.
As a council member.
Yes. And so, we want to be at the top of the list for other things. And so when you hear that, and with the opioid epidemic, so we just provided a grant for interventions to help with our young people who are dealing with the opioid epidemic, and also just trying to make sure that there are resources. It's great to do interventions, but with a background in public health, I'm all about prevention. And so I've asked our Health and Human Services Department to look at prevention measures, to see what it's going to take to get an actual facility in our county to help our young people and those all across the spectrum who are trying to find their way out of this cycle of drug dependency.
An undergraduate degree in public health and a graduate degree in public administration.
Yes.
That seems like a good combination for government work.
Yes. It provided such a good foundation. Like I said, I believe in health in all policies. We are already looking at our building energy standards and, making sure that they are becoming, helpful in helping us meet our climate energy goals. And then we also want our students to be responsible stewards of our environment as well. And so we also have the Dickerson incinerator, where we're trying to transition out of, dirty processing of our trash and looking at the air quality impacts and how that's impacting people who live nearby. So everything that we do,
which comes back to public health. Yeah.
Yes. Everything we do, hits on our public's health.
Laurie Ann Sayles, a council member from Montgomery County, Maryland. Great to meet you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being a listener. And give our best to Craig Rice if you see him.
Certainly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to tell you what our friends at the LHD Academy of Science are doing. The LHD Academy is the National Association for Local Health Department Data Collectors. Through the Academy of Science, county health directors are coming together to measure their county health issues the same way. Here's the problem. There are over 3,000 counties in the U.S., and they all count differently. We live in a data-driven world. We need all the public health data to be counted the same. Let's say you want to see if your community is overweight, or vaping, or in other ways less healthy than your neighboring counties. To determine this, you'll need to measure these problems the same. You also have to ask the same questions. Different results, but same data points. LHD Academy is working with the National Center for Disease Control, creating a standard to count and collect data the same way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. They create the process and make sure everyone is looking at the information the same way. This means a county in Connecticut can compare their data with a county in California. It's apples to apples. Now, with the LHD Academy, counties and other governments are pooling resources and sharing data and creating a huge database library. That means lower costs, more accurate results, and better information for everyone. Sound like good government, right? If this sounds like something you want to get for your county or your city, check them out at lhdacademyofscience.org. That's lhdacademyofscience.org. What is it that county government does? That's the question county commissioners get asked the most, and the simple answer is everything. On the Good Government Show, we're so lucky to have talked with so many county commissioners and other county officials that have shown us how effective county government is. County government dates back to, get this, 1634, making it one of the oldest forms of government in the United States. Think about it. Roads, highways, hospitals, schools, recycling, law enforcement, water, sewers, and most of the county, those services are maintained by the county. That's county government. The National Association of Counties represents all 3,069 counties across the USA. NACo helps county government work better together through things like sharing best practices. When county government works well, that's just good government. It's always nice to talk to the daughter of a rugby player. No doubt Dad's rugby mind had an impact on Councilmember-at-Large Laurie Ann Sayles. There's a lot of debate about government assuming college loans, and hearing from Laurie Ann, it's a perspective that deserves to be listened to. And being from Maryland, no surprise, she wants to put Old Bay seasoning on her seafood, or everything else for that matter. Well, that's our show. Please like us and share us with your friends and review us right here where you're listening. And check out our website, goodgovernmentshow.com, for extras. Help us keep telling the stories of good government in action everywhere. Join us again for another episode right here. I'm Dave Martin, and this is The Good Government Show. The Good Government Show is a Valley Park production. Jim Ludlow, Dave Martin, that's me, and David Snyder are the executive producers. Our show is edited and produced by Jason Stershic. Please subscribe, then share us, and like us and review us. That's the best way to make sure we're able to keep telling these stories of our government working for all of us. Then listen to the next episode of The Good Government Show.